The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like dying insects. 11 p.m. sharp. Maria Santos clipped her security badge to her uniform shirt and picked up the radio that would be her only companion for the next 8 hours. St. Mary's Hospital after midnight wasn't exactly the career she'd dreamed of, but it paid the bills. More importantly, nobody asked questions. She walked the same route every night. Emergency room first, then the ICU pediatrics, and finally the parking garage. Quiet steps, quiet mind. That's how she'd survived 3 tours in Syria. That's how she'd rescued 200 hostages from hell itself, and that's how she planned to survive the rest of her life. But tonight was different. Welcome to Human Stories. Before we dive into this incredible tale of hidden identity and unexpected danger, tell me in the comments what city are you watching from today, and if you believe stories about real heroes deserve to be heard, hit that subscribe button. These stories matter. Maria wasn't supposed to be working security at a suburban hospital. 6 months ago, she'd been Staff Sergeant Maria Santos, Special Forces, with more confirmed rescues than most soldiers see combat missions. She'd pulled diplomats out of burning embassies, extracted civilians from war zones, and once spent 72 hours behind enemy lines with nothing but a combat knife and pure determination. But that was before Damascus, before the mission that officially never happened, before she supposedly died in an explosion that took out an entire terrorist compound. Now she was just Maria. No last name on her employee file, no military record anyone could trace, just a quiet woman who worked nights and never missed a shift. The radio crackled. Security to emergency. We've got an incoming trauma. ETA 2 minutes. Maria sighed and headed toward the ER. Probably another drunk driver or bar fight. Friday nights were always busy. She pushed through the double doors just as the ambulance lights painted the windows red and blue. The paramedics wheeled in a man, unconscious, blood-soaked, strapped to a backboard. Male, approximately 50, found unconscious at a car accident scene. The lead paramedic called out. Multiple lacerations, possible internal bleeding. Dr. Kim rushed over. Bay 3, let's move. Maria stepped aside to let them pass, but something made her look twice. The man's left arm hung off the gurney, and there, just below his wrist, was a tattoo she recognized. Her blood turned to ice. A black scorpion with Cyrillic letters underneath. She'd seen that exact mark before, burned into her memory like a brand. Damascus, the compound. The man who'd tortured civilians while laughing. Dimitri Kozlov. The man she'd killed 3 years ago. Maria's hand instinctively moved to her hip, but there was no weapon there, just a flashlight and pepper spray. Her breathing stayed controlled. Years of training kicked in, but her mind was racing. It wasn't possible. She'd seen the building collapse. She'd seen the explosion. Unless. Ma'am. Dr. Kim was looking at her. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. I'm fine, Maria managed. Just. Thought I recognized him. She forced herself to walk away, but her eyes stayed locked on the man in Bay 3. As the nurses cut away his shirt, she could see more tattoos. Military insignia she recognized, unit markers from Kozlov's mercenary group. It was him. Maria pulled out her phone and stepped into the hallway. Her hands were steady, muscle memory from 1,000 crisis situations, but her mind was spinning. She dialed a number she'd memorized but never wanted to use. Phoenix Cleaners, came the voice. This is Santos. Code red. I need immediate extraction. A pause. Santos. You're supposed to be dead. Not now. I have a situation. Kozlov is alive and he's at my location. Impossible. We confirmed the kill. I'm looking at him right now. St. Mary's Hospital. Chicago, I need backup. Negative. You're officially dead. Remember, we can't help you. The line went dead. Maria stared at her phone. She was on her own. Just like always. She walked back toward the ER, staying in the shadows. Through the glass, she could see the medical team working on Kozlov. His eyes were still closed, but something about his breathing looked wrong. Too controlled, too deliberate. Then his eyes snapped open. Asterisk. Even from 15 feet away, she could see them scanning the room with predator's precision. Not the confused, disoriented look of an accident victim, the calculating gaze of a hunter. His eyes found hers through the glass, and he smiled. Maria's radio crackled, but instead of the normal hospital chatter, she heard something that made her blood freeze. Hello, Maria, Kozlov's voice, coming through her security radio. I've been looking for you for a very long time. She grabbed the radio. How are you? Oh, we've been watching this place for weeks. Ever since we tracked your new identity. Nice life you've built here. Very domestic. Maria's throat tightened. What do you want? What I've always wanted. To finish what we started in Damascus. But first, I want you to know we found your daughter. The world tilted. Emma, her 8-year-old daughter, living with Maria's sister in Denver. Safe, hidden. Her school is very nice. Washington Elementary. She likes the monkey bars, doesn't she? Maria's vision tunneled. If you touch her, oh, I won't. Not if you do exactly what I say. You see, this little accident of mine, it wasn't an accident. It was an invitation. I wanted you to see me. I wanted you to know that your old life found you. Through the glass, she watched Kozlov slowly sit up on the gurney. The nurses tried to push him back down, but he waved them off with surprising strength for someone who'd supposedly been in a car crash. Here's what's going to happen. His voice continued through the radio. My team has surrounded this hospital. 15 men, Maria, armed and trained. If you try to run, if you try to call for help, if you do anything except walk into Bay 3 right now, Emma won't make it to her next birthday. Maria closed her eyes. 3 years of peace, shattered in 3 minutes. You have 60 seconds to decide. Be the hero and save these innocent people in the hospital. Or be the mother and save your daughter. Choose. The radio went silent. Maria looked around the hospital. Night shift meant minimal staff, maybe 30 people total. Patients who couldn't defend themselves. Doctors and nurses who'd signed up to save lives, not die in a war zone. She thought about Emma, blonde hair in pigtails, gap-toothed smile. The way she laughed when Maria pushed her on the swings during their last visit. 50 seconds. Maria Santos had spent her entire military career making impossible choices. Save the mission or save the team. Follow orders or follow conscience. Live with the consequences or die with honor. Doubt this was just another impossible choice. 40 seconds. She started walking toward Bay 3, but as she moved, her training kicked in. Kozlov had made one critical mistake. He'd assumed she was still the same woman who'd fought him in Damascus. He didn't know that losing everything had made her more dangerous. Not less. 30 seconds. Maria stepped into Bay 3. Kozlov was sitting on the edge of the gurney now. His injuries mysteriously healed. The medical staff had been dismissed. They were alone. Hello, Maria. You look good. Domestic life suits you. What do you want? I want to watch you suffer the way you made me suffer. Do you know what it's like to crawl out of a collapsed building? To spend 2 years in reconstructive surgery? To have every bone in your body rebroken and reset? Maria said nothing. But more than that, I want information. Damascus wasn't just about rescuing hostages, was it? You found something in my compound, something you took. I don't know what you're talking about. Kozlov pulled out a tablet and showed her a video feed. Emma walking out of school, backpack bouncing, asterisk the hard drive. Maria, the one with our client list. Every government we've worked for, every operation we've run, you took it. I want it back. Maria's mind raced. She did have the drive. Insurance policy, locked in a safety deposit box in Denver, evidence of war crimes spanning a decade. Even if I had it, why would I trade it for my daughter? You'll just kill us both anyway. Maybe, but this way, she lives a little longer. That's when Maria noticed something. Kozlov's confidence was forced. His hand shook slightly when he held the tablet, and his backup team. She hadn't seen any sign of them. You're bluffing, she said quietly. Kozlov's smile faltered. Am I? Your team isn't here. If 15 armed men had surrounded this hospital, the Chicago PD would have responded. This place has more security cameras than Fort Knox. You're alone. You're betting your daughter's life on that assumption. No, Maria said, stepping closer. I'm betting on something else, which is that you need me alive to get that drive. Which means Emma is safe until you have it, and you're never getting it. Kozlov's expression hardened. He reached behind his back and pulled out a combat knife. Then I guess we do this the hard way. What happened next took exactly 7 seconds. Asterisk. Kozlov lunged forward with the knife. Maria sidestepped and grabbed his wrist, using his momentum to send him into the medical equipment behind her. He spun and slashed at her throat. She ducked and drove her elbow into his solar plexus. He doubled over and she brought her knee up. Into his face. Kozlov staggered backward, blood streaming from his nose. You're out of practice, Maria said calmly. Maybe, but I brought backup anyway. The lights went out. Asterisk. Emergency lighting kicked in, casting everything in red. Through the ER windows, Maria could see muzzle flashes in the parking lot. Kozlov had been hurt. Right, his team was here, just not where she'd expected. Phase 2, Kozlov said, wiping blood from his mouth. My men are taking out the local police response. In 10 minutes, this place will be a ghost town. Then we'll have all night to discuss that hard drive. Maria grabbed the medical crash cart and shoved it toward him. Kozlov jumped aside, but it gave her the seconds she needed to get to the door. The hallway was chaos. Nurses and security guards running, patients calling out in confusion. Through the windows, she could see black vehicles surrounding the building. Maybe Kozlov wasn't bluffing after all. Maria's radio crackled again. Different voice this time. All units, this is Alpha Team. Building is secure. Beginning sweep. Professional, military. These weren't street thugs. Maria ducked into a supply closet and tried to think. She had no weapons, no backup, and no way to call for help without risking Emma's life. The hospital was full of innocent people who were about to become collateral damage. Unless. She grabbed her phone and sent a text to a number she'd hoped never to use. Code Black, St. Mary's Hospital, Kozlov alive, need immediate support. The response came back in 30 seconds, ETA 15 minutes. Hold position. Maria smiled grimly. Maybe she wasn't as alone as she'd thought. She slipped out of the supply closet and made her way toward the hospital's communication center. If she could access the PA system, she could at least warn people to shelter in place. But as she rounded the corner, she came face to face with a man in tactical gear, assault rifle raised. "Ma'am, I need you to come with me." His accent was Eastern European, one of Kozlov's men. Maria raised her hands slowly. "Don't shoot. I'm just a security guard. I know who you are, Sergeant Santos." The rifle barrel never wavered as he gestured down the hallway. "Move." Maria started walking, but her eyes were scanning for opportunities. The hospital's layout worked in her favor. Lots of corners, lots of cover, lots of places to disappear. Past a janitor's cart, Maria stumbled slightly and caught herself on the cart's edge. The mercenary steadied her with his free hand. Big mistake. Maria grabbed a bottle of industrial cleaning fluid and sprayed it directly into his eyes. He screamed and triggered his weapon, but the rounds went high. She grabbed the rifle, twisted it out of his hands, and drove the stock into his temple. He dropped. Now she was armed. Maria checked the weapon. Full magazine, safety off, familiar weight. Some things you never forget. The gunfire had alerted the others. She could hear boots running in her direction. She keyed the PA system. "All hospital personnel and patients. This is a security emergency. Move to the nearest room and lock the doors. Do not come out until you hear all clear from hospital administration." "This is not a drill." Kozlov's voice echoed through the hospital speakers. "Very good, Maria, but you're only delaying the inevitable. I have 12 men left, and you have ... what? A single rifle and whatever willpower you have left." Maria didn't respond. She was already moving. The hospital's architecture worked like a maze. Maria had walked these halls for 6 months, learning every corner, every exit, every hiding place. Kozlov's men were professionals, but they didn't know the terrain. She made her way to the stairwell and climbed to the 3rd floor. From there, she could see the parking lot. 5 vehicles, professional positioning, overlapping fields of fire. These guys knew what they were doing, but they'd made one mistake. They'd left their command vehicle, a black SUV, unguarded. Smiled. Time to even the odds. She made her way to the basement through the service elevator. The hospital's old tunnels connected to the parking garage. From there, she could reach the SUV without being seen. The tunnel was dark, cramped, and smelled like decades of industrial cleaning supplies, but it was hidden. She emerged in the parking garage and could see the SUV 50 feet away. No guards visible. Maria sprinted across the open space, expecting gunfire that never came. She reached the vehicle and tried the door. Unlocked. Inside, she found exactly what she'd hoped for. Communications, equipment, tactical displays, and most importantly, their command frequency. She put on the headset and listened. "Alpha Team, report. I see you clear. Beta Team, still sweeping the 2nd floor. No sign of the target. She's got to be somewhere. Kozlov wants her alive. Remember." Maria keyed the microphone. "This is Santos. I'm done running. Silence on the frequency. I want to make a deal." Kozlov's voice came through the speakers. "I'm listening. Face to face. Main lobby. Just you and me. Your men stay back." "Why would I agree to that?" "Because I'm about to tell you where the hard drive is." Another silence. "You have 5 minutes to get to the lobby. If I see any of your men, the deal's off." Maria left the SUV and made her way back through the tunnels. She had a plan, but it was risky. Everything depended on timing. The lobby was empty except for the night reception desk. Emergency lighting cast long shadows across the marble floor. Kozlov entered from the ER alone as promised. But Maria could see his men positioning themselves outside the windows. "So," he said, Where is it? Denver, safety deposit box at First National, box 247, key hidden at my apartment. Kozlov studied her face. You're lying, maybe, but it's the only lead you've got. That's when the helicopters arrived. The sound started as a distant whine, then grew to a thunderous roar. Spotlights blazed through the lobby windows as 3 Black Hawks settled onto the hospital's parking lot. Kozlov spun toward the windows. What did you do? What I should have done 3 years ago. I called in the cavalry. The lobby doors burst open and 12 figures in full tactical gear poured in. But these weren't police or FBI. The patches on their uniforms read JSOC Joint Special Operations Command. Maria's old unit. Stand down. The team leader's voice boomed through his mask. All weapons on the ground. Now, Kozlov looked at Maria with something that might have been respect. You always were full of surprises. He reached into his jacket. Maria tackled him. As he drew a pistol, they hit the floor hard, fighting for control of the weapon. Kozlov was stronger, but Maria was faster. The gun fired twice. When the smoke cleared, Kozlov was on the ground, clutching his shoulder. Maria stood over him, the pistol in her hands. Maria Santos, the team leader said, removing his helmet. You're supposed to be dead. She recognized the voice. Captain James Rodriguez, her old commanding officer. Reports of my death were greatly exaggerated. Obviously, we got your distress signal. Thought it was a hoax until we ran the verification codes. Maria looked down at Kozlov, who was glaring up at her with pure hatred. The hard drive, she said quietly. Everything you need to take down his entire network. It's in a storage unit in Phoenix. Unit 445. I'll give you the address. Rodriguez nodded. What about you? Officially, you're still KIA. I want to stay that way. And your daughter? Maria's expression softened. She's safe. That's all that matters. 3 hours later, Maria Santos sat in the hospital break room. Still wearing her security uniform, the JSOC team had cleaned up the mess with military efficiency. Kozlov and his men were in federal custody. The hospital staff had been debriefed and sworn to secrecy. To the outside world, it had been a gas leak. Emergency evacuation. Everyone safe. Nothing to see here. Rodriguez sat across from her. The offer stands, he said. You could come back. We could use someone with your skills. Maria shook her head. I'm done with that life. But are you done with this one? She looked around the break room. The coffee machine, the motivational posters, the schedule board showing next week's shifts. I think so. Rodriguez slid a business card across the table. Private security. Pays better than hospital work. No questions asked about your background. Maria picked up the card. Emma protected new identities for both of you, if you want them. She thought about her daughter, about the life they could have without looking over their shoulders. I'll think about it. Rodriguez stood up. Take your time, but Maria, what you did tonight, that was outstanding work. You saved a lot of lives. After he left, Maria sat alone in the break room. Her radio crackled with normal hospital chatter. Code blues, maintenance requests, shift changes. Normal. She thought about Kozlov probably spending the rest of his life in a federal prison. About his network, finally exposed. About the hostages from Damascus who would finally get justice. Her phone buzzed. Text message from her sister. Emma lost another tooth today. Wants to show you next time you visit. Maria smiled and typed back. Tell her I'll be there soon. We might be staying longer this time. She looked at her security badge one last time, then unclipped it from her uniform. Some battles you fight to win. Others you fight to finally be able to walk away. Maria Santos had spent her entire adult life saving other people. Maybe it was time to save herself. So I ask you, have you ever met someone like Maria? Someone carrying a secret burden, protecting others while sacrificing everything? Share their story in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. Because here at Human Stories, we believe that the most powerful warriors are often the ones you'd never suspect. Subscribe if this story moved you. Hit that notification bell. And remember, sometimes the person mopping floors next to you once moved mountains. Until next time.